Zach Collaros gives you a ton of credit for getting him to learn the CFL game, and to his success today. Obviously, I had worked with him as a quarterbacks coach in 2012. What did you see from him that maybe we're seeing now?
I think there's something when you see a quarterback have the it factor, that's what I saw in Zach. I think Scott saw the same thing right away. It's just there's a confidence about him. Obviously, he has ability. He has a skill set. His movement patterns in the pocket. He has great ability in the pocket, moving around. He can locate receivers. He can make plays out of nothing. But he's accurate, strong arm. He's smart. I still remember him coming into training camp late and having to get him ready for the first preseason game he was going to play in, and he had only been there a couple of days. And like I said, he was very confident that he'd go in, and I wasn't quite so sure because I know how different our game is, but he went in there and played just so smoothly, and he didn't play the rest of the year. And then when I saw him come back, it was a different guy. He'd improved. Like every quarterback does after their first year. I've always said the second year is where you take the biggest leap, in my opinion. And he was ready for the moment he got a chance. And still remember that moxie he had in a 4-game winning streak that second year, all on the road, coming back as a starting quarterback and leading us to victory at the time. And again, it's just his ability to he can make plays out of nothing, but he also can read defenses and understands the offense and works extremely hard and tough. So, there's a lot of attributes that I love about Zach and watching him play, and have loved watching him continue his career and be so successful. And, when people say he's, the first quarterback to go to 4 straight, there's a reason why.
And like I said, one of those reasons is yourself. I'm wondering if you take pride in I know it's weird, maybe a question to ask you. That's Zach on you, but do you take pride in seeing guys you?
I'll say that when you hear those words, they're flattering, obviously, but the man did all the work, and that's the way I look at it. He's been coached well any stop he's been at, in my opinion, and obviously your first year in the league, you're hearing the information for the first time, and I appreciate the respect he has, and showing in that and saying that, but all the credit in the world goes to him and the guys that are coaching him, because I think they're doing a great job, and he's just such a tremendous person and a player, just awesome.
So last one from you on that. What I thought was really interesting was during those years, it was Ricky Ray's team, to the point where nobody got a single rep in practice, and yet you would take him outside hours, outside the working hours, to go through game plans, to go through different plays. Why did you think it was important to do that? And why is that important?
Well, the one thing that, the quarterbacks we'd had back then, you're right, exactly right. When the starter gets every rep. We didn't have a lot of reps. We ran through in practice, just the way it was. And the starting quarterback does all the reads. So in a meeting room, he's the only one speaking. The only time we all would speak up is if he wasn't understanding the play we were designing. So when he's going through the reads and the progressions, he's the one doing it. So you've got to do a lot of homework as a quarterback to play in that system, and you got to be locked in. And another way of getting those locked in reps is when the starter's taking the reps in practice, you're doing necessary drops behind him, and we can look at that visually as coaches and watch, and you got to really be a concerted effort to do it. And then there's another step to that is after practice staying and putting in time and effort, and Zach would do that. And obviously I felt like it was a coach's duty, if the player is willing to stay after and wants the work and the coaching, provide it for him. And then we take it a step further at the game. Before the game is played, going out there with a script and talking through every play that's on that ready list to make sure he's locked into the game plan. And that was something that I was proud of him for putting in the work and the time, and was happy to help him with that progression, and felt it was important in his growth. But again, it comes from the player, and it has to come from him first.
Yeah, that was your first year coaching. Did you? Why do that? Did someone?
Well, I think it's honestly, to be honest with you, it helps everybody. It helps the coaches, in my opinion. I was a first year coach, first year learning the system just like him, and it was a lot. It really was. I mean, the offense is not easy to learn. So that's part of learning as well. And, you want to hear it over and over again. And, after practice, taking a script and going through all the plays, the starter just took every rep. So now just visualizing and calling out a defense and making him think on his feet, that was what I felt would make him a better quarterback. And obviously I had experience in doing that visually myself, before games. And, you kind of, as a coach, you take some of those learning lessons that you felt were important and try to pass them along. But again, it takes a willing participant to do that. And that's why, when you get a guy like Zach that is a sponge and wants to work and wants to be the best, it's easy to provide whatever he's looking for, and believe it's important.
Jason, I'm wondering if I could be so bold as to ask you for something straight from the heart here. You're great at expressing yourself, and the journey that your team has been on from day one to be here on Grey Cup Eve. I mean, how much do you love this team of yours?
Yeah, we spoke about that this morning. I think you always have a vision. You always have a goal in mind, and that goal is to make a Grey Cup and win a Grey Cup as a team and an organization. And you know how special that is and how memorable that can be. When we've only won 7 Grey Cups as an organization, yet we still talk about those teams. There's a lot of teams that you don't talk about because they didn't win that game. And then I'll take it a step further. When you feel like you have a great team, and you have to be great to get here. I mean, you have to have done some great things to get here. But when they do it the right way, and you're very proud of them, and that's every single individual in that locker room that came together, all the things we asked of them, the bird's nest, the working hard, the practicing through snow, through rain, through sleet, and no one complaining. Everyone getting to know one another, selfless guys. And again, we work and compete so hard against one another. No fights in practice, which I've never seen before, but yet competitive as hell. Those are the type of teams you root for, and you want something so strongly for them. There's a great sense of pride in knowing where we are from in Quebec. And we talked about that pride in the locker room, about the Quebecers and the Quebecois being so proud of the heritage. We wanted the Americans and the Western Canadians and the rest of Canada to be proud as much as they are. And that was only going to happen if we could come together and learn one another very well. And I'm just so proud that all happened. And now, to me, it's the barometer that I'm going to look for going forward. I think they've set the bar. And it's beyond my imagination of what we could accomplish in 1 year, to be quite honest with you. Not getting here, but the coming together. Because what the vision was what we would do this, but we wanted to be able to sustain it. And I feel like we have the right type of guys and the right locker room now and the right organization all pulling together to allow this to be sustainable. It's always going to be tough and difficult, but when you're with like-minded guys that want to work for one another, it's special. And I just, it's hard to believe, and this is the last thing I'll say, is the 2023 version of the Montreal Alouettes tomorrow at about 10 o'clock is going to cease to exist forever. And I just hope that they're on that Grey Cup so other people remember them, because I will never forget this team.
It's fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
Jason, you were injuries, whatever, you were part of 3 Grey Cup teams, and the Edmonton football team won 2 of them. Mm-hmm. You will now be the guy that everyone looks at tomorrow, your team. What will you be telling yourself tomorrow? And I've watched you as a coach over the last 10 years. How would you say you've evolved as a person? Because you have an intensity and a fieriness about you, but especially now that you're in Montreal, there's a greater perspective and self-awareness that I'm kind of seeing. So what is it about the growth of you as a person and knowing that your team is going to look to you tomorrow and the opportunity to be that guy? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, it means everything. I'm going to be excited and bring energy and passion like I always do. Have full belief in our guys. I'm excited to watch our football team. I'm excited to coach our football team. Every single time we're out there, I have a great sense of pride for this organization and the guys that are in that locker room. You want the very best for them. And I realize it's not going to be easy. And I know we're going to face adversity. The thing I'm most looking forward to is facing that with them and playing this game for 60 minutes or however long it takes, and doing this together. That to me is exciting, and that's what I want them to understand, is this is a moment we've all been thinking about and dreaming about all year, and we've done the work necessary to be here. And we're going to have each other's back and have confidence in everyone, and we're going to coach them like hell, and they're going to play like hell, and that's what they can expect from me and every guy on that sideline. We're all pulling for each other, and we're going to do everything possible to get this W.
Does personal pride play into that? Will you allow yourself a moment in the journey that you've had to this point, knowing that you're a head coach that's going to be leading a team out for a great couple? Will that play into your mind at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Obviously, when you're part of a team, that's all I think about. But I have a job to do, and I respect the job. Let's put it that way. I've tried to focus all my energy on every single individual on this team, and don't even think about myself, to be quite honest with you. I feel like I'm a part of this organization, first and foremost, and of this team. I realize I am the head coach, and I don't take that lightly, and I think I take that with great pride and responsibility, and I try to do my very best to provide the leadership necessary for us on a daily basis, and that won't change no matter how big a game this is, and we all know how big it is. But the guys can expect from me what they've gotten all year, which is everything I have.
Oh, here, Coach. Obviously, last week special teams played a huge part in your game and your win against Toronto. How much of that's going to be applied to tomorrow night? Yeah, I mean,
it's going to play a big part. They're a very good three-phase football team, and I believe we are too. So, the special teams in this league is always big in any game, but they can turn a game on its head as well. Probably like no other, because people always look at the offense and defense to maintain momentum or to get momentum. And anytime it seems like your special teams is special, it tends to create more momentum, and we play a momentum football game. So, and I think everybody knows, what kind of special teams unit they've had and possessed since O'Shea's been coaching there. So we're up for that challenge, and we're looking forward to it, and expecting to play our special teams is expecting to play a big part in this game.
And is there any sense of a why not us mentality tomorrow? Because obviously you guys look 11-7 in season, got the big win last week, and now it's just continually getting these big wins at the most important times of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't shy about saying as the games get bigger or as we get longer and further in our season, and the more games we win, we're going to play bigger and bigger games, and you're going to play better opponents as far as records wise once you get into the playoffs. And we were fully aware of what our record was all along, and the teams that we were possibly going to be facing. And I said at the beginning of the playoffs, you're playing against, in the first round, a Hamilton Tiger Cat team that's been to 2 Grey Cups recently, and they are hosting a Grey Cup team, which is great motivation. You're going to go against, if you win that one, you're going against a 16-2 team that's only been done one other time in 100-year history. That's the type of team you're going to face, and they're the defending Grey Cup champs. And then if you get past that game, you're going to play against a team that's was 14-4 and have won a playoff game and could possibly go into their 4th Grey Cup in a row. I mean, the teams don't get any better. So you have to have confidence that you've got to be at your best and as great as you can possibly be to knock off those teams. And I feel like we are the only team, I think, in the league that got 21 day threes in. And we've played one more game than Winnipeg has. So we've worked longer than they have. And we put a lot of stock into working. And we needed to get better from the last time we played them. And we have. And so I don't think there's one guy in our locker room that does not believe with the work we've put in and the teams that we have played and beaten, that there's no reason we cannot be victorious in this game. There is not one guy that doubts that. Now we got to go out and do it. There ain't one guy that's going to doubt when they walk on that field that we cannot win.
Jason Simon Dingley from CBC. Heard an interesting story about you earlier this week, and I wonder if you can confirm it. We heard that when you were with the Argos in 2012, you actually had to live in your van for a good chunk of the year because of the high cost of living in Toronto. Is that true, and can you tell us about it?
I'll just say this. There were a lot of nights where, yes, I had a Yukon and a truck for multiple years that I've coached here, and I've coached in this league. And there's been plenty of nights I've slept in my own vehicle because it's too late leaving the office, and that was my fastest way to get a lot of hours of sleep, knowing the traffic that's out here. You know, it is what it is as far as, you know, as a coach, sleep is not something that you're afforded during the season. So anytime you can catch a little bit extra shut-eye, you do it. So, yes, I've slept many nights in the winter months towards the end of the season in my own vehicle.
Adam Big Hill, so challenging to go up against.
Yeah, very familiar with his game, and I think the biggest part is they let him freelance in that defense. And as a quarterback, when you look at defenders, you see them more as, you know, X's as opposed to like actually human beings. And there are certain coverages you see. You expect guys to be in certain spots so you can throw anticipation balls. You can throw to areas where guys are getting open. And with a guy like Big Hill who's seen it all, seen all the offenses, sometimes you'll turn your head back and you'll expect one thing, and all of a sudden he's standing there in the passing lane. And I've seen it over and over again. He does a really good job of playing the quarterback's eyes, and he's really good in the run game, very physical player. And I know he's the heart and soul of that defense. He gets them fired up. And so obviously it's always been a challenge to go against a guy like Big Hill. I got a lot of respect for him and what he's done in this league. And so I always look forward to the opportunity of going against him.
I know you're more focused on you guys and whatnot, but if Adam's not out there tomorrow, it just sounds like there's a good chance that he might not be. What does that mean for this Montreal offense?
Well, first off, it would be unfortunate because he's one of our top players in this league, and you know, when you get to this position, you want the best players to play. And on the opposing side, for us, you know, I told our guys I want their best to play because you want to beat their best, and that's the only way you can truly be crown champs is if you play against their best. So it'd be unfortunate, and I just know this: they got a lot of depth over there, and I've seen it over the years that they've found a way to plug and play, and it's next man up mentality. So we're not going to bat an eyelash when you know, if Big Hill happens to not play. I know that whoever steps in for them is going to be ready and is going to be willing to handle the job. And so it's going to be an incredible task for our offense to go against their defense, as it always is and has been for every team in this league for the last 4 years. You know, they do a great job on defense. And so we'll have our hands full, but I think we're really excited for the opportunity.
Cody, we hear that a few players addressed the team today. You were one of them. What was important to you to say to your teammates?
Felt like I fired up the guys a little bit, and you know, usually throughout the course of the year, I speak so much to the offense, and we talk to the offense, and so it was really cool to talk in front of the whole team, talk in front of our defense and some of our special teams guys, and even like our management was in there, and so I felt like I gave a pretty good speech, and guys were fired up and said they were ready to play, and so anytime you can do that, you always feel good, but. You know, you guys know me. I've, you know, done plenty of interviews in my CFL career. I wear my emotion on the sleeve. And so you guys get everything out of me. And I'm a pretty honest guy. So I poured my heart out in there, and I let them know how I felt and what it's meant for me this week and being here and my career, and then just the expectation of going into a Grey Cup. And I basically told them about, you know, in 2017, being a backup quarterback, being on the punt team, being a short yardage guy, and the holder on the field goals. I'll never forget, I was the holder on the game-winning kick in the Grey Cup. And so those are memories you remember forever. But I remember going to bed that night and saying, I won't be the reason we lose this football game as that guy. And so it's a little bit different this year being the starting quarterback, and not everything's going to go my way. I know that because it's an incredibly talented team on the other side. But what this team does so well, and what we've done well all year, is when things aren't going our way and that adversity hits, nobody starts pointing fingers. Everybody rallies together, and the positivity on the sideline it shows up time and time again. And so that's what I'm really excited about, is when things don't go our way, just to see how the guys react.
Cody, how important is offensive line play for you guys going to be tomorrow night?
I think it's any game, you know, especially against a team like Winnipeg, where if you can sit back and let your guys get down the field, you have a chance. And that's where the explosive plays come in. And it only takes 1 or 2 explosion plays a quarter for you to have a chance to win the football game. And so I have all the confidence in our offensive line. I know that they're up against a tough task in a really good defensive front that's going to be hungry and going to be aggressive. And so we've seen it all year. And the good news about, you know, last week and prior weeks where we've given up multiple sacks, we've won football games by giving up sacks. So it's not like, oh, all of a sudden they're getting sacks and then everyone wants to hang their heads. We've been there, done that, and it's something we can all draw on. And I tell those guys all the time, I have so much respect for offensive linemen because they get none of the credit and all the blame when it happens to be sacks. And a sack is more offensive line, running backs, quarterbacks, even some receivers running different routes or wrong routes. The timing can be skewed. So they take all the blame, but a lot of times it's not all on them. And I love those guys because they don't get the credit they deserve. And I told them, I'm going to stand in there as much as I can and try and deliver the football.
And how important is it just to have the confidence from the coach, from the coaching management, all the way down to you guys to know that, hey, tomorrow night you can go out there and do this and bring Montreal their first Grey Cup in a very long time?
Oh, it's incredible. And I think Coach Maas has done that not just this week, but the entire season. We've talked about the Grey Cup and where we want to go in the Grade 8. And when you talk about it for that much, you guys start believing. It's not like all of a sudden we got the playoffs and Coach Maas is like, well, we have a chance to win the Grey Cup. No, it was day one of training camp. We walked in and he talked about the Grade 8 and being that 8th team to hoist the cup over our head. And you start believing. And like I told everybody, the last couple of weeks, we're a band of misfit toys that came really close together. And the way we do that is with a strong leader and Coach Maas and a guy that's brought us together. And I felt like a rookie again this year, getting to know guys on the team and only knowing two guys coming over here. Like, it was something that got me out of my comfort zone, and I think it made me not only a better quarterback, but a better person. And that's what I'm excited about, is that we got a full week, another week, and we went as long as we could go as a football team, right? And that's something to hang your hat on. That's something to be proud of, because I love those guys in that locker room, and the relationships I've built with them over the course of the last 24 weeks has been truly incredible. Now, when you win a Grey Cup, that relationship's a little bit bonded closer together, and that's our goal, is to win the Grey Cup, just like it's Winnipeg's goal.
Hi, Cody. Coach Maas was talking about how the team kind of came together this year, and on this team, there's 10 Quebecers on the team, which is a large number for a Grey Cup appearing team from Montreal. I'm just wondering how much of the local element has kind of been weaved into the DNA of this team. Do you all kind of feel like Quebecers now? How's that playing out?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, that's the foundation of our team. And a lot of those guys have been with this team for multiple years or have been in that city for multiple years. And they're the first guys I asked for food recommendations or what to do when my wife was in town. Like, those are the guys you ask. And when you see just how they work every single day. And the one thing I think that's not talked about enough is the way Coach Maas has embraced the French language and the French culture and has implemented into the team. There was some Friday, day fours before games that we would have a Duolingo quiz contest where you'd have to stand in front of the entire team and practice your French language. And so that right there builds a team dynamic. And I know the guys from Quebec, they saw that and they had this great appreciation for us going out there and trying to buy into their culture. Same goes for the fans. Just trying to interact with fans in French means a lot. Even though I butcher a lot of words, just finding a way to try it, I think it shows respect. And I have nothing but respect for the culture, and I wanted to embrace the community and the culture. And one of the first videos I did after I signed in free agency was a video in French. And the amount of times I practiced that one sentence was over 100 times because I wanted to make sure I got it right, because it meant something to me. And I know it meant something to our fans. And that's what we believe in that room. And that's why it's always great to take the field with those guys.
Thank you.
Jackson Jeffcoat and Willie Jefferson have been a force for Winnipeg for quite some time. And looking back at the 2019 Western Finals, Winnipeg was really putting on the pressure. And I thought you did a great job actually eluding the pressure and picking up positive yardage quite often. Would you say that it's increasingly important to get rid of the ball quickly playing against Winnipeg?
Yeah, I think yes and no, because their DBs do a really good job of sitting on certain routes and jumping routes because they know how good their defensive line is. And if a quarterback gets the ball out of their hands too quickly and you don't see it, they jump it, interception, big play. So there's times when you're going to be asked to hold on the ball, and we're going to hold up front. But I know those guys fairly well, those two guys, competing with them over the last couple of years. And it's always great to compete against those guys because, like I said when I was talking about Big Hill, they're two of the greatest pass rushers in our league right now, and to be able to go and compete against the best, it's really what you want as a competitor. But I'm excited for the opportunity to go out there and compete against those guys, and all the, you talk about the 2019 Western Final, the 2021 Western Final. Like, there's been some really good football games that I've played against Winnipeg Blue Bombers that have gone down to the end, and that's all you can ask for against that team, is to have a chance to win in the fourth quarter, because if you look over the course of the last 4 years, not very many teams have been successful against them. And so that's our goal, is to try to find a way, whether it's offensively, defensively, special teams. The goal is to win 2 out of the 3 phases. If you can win 2 out of 3 phases, you should have a chance to win the football game. And so whatever combination of those 2 out of the 3 it is, that's what we want to do in order to have a chance.
Looking back on the season, because you were kind of cast off after it was a down year in Saskatchewan, riddled with injuries. How validating has this season been now in the Grey Cup with a team that was 9th on the power rankings on CFL.ca?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I think that bonded this team, was your guys' initial rankings of putting us 9th. It was something where all of us, who is, like I said, just a bunch of new guys and a lot of turnover on the roster, the first thing we had in common was the hatred for you guys of picking us 9th, to be honest with you, right? So that was the first thing that kind of bonded us, and we wanted to go out there and prove that we were a better team than what people were talking about. But the thing that about last year, I told you guys, and some of you guys were in the room when I talked about the mental change I had this year. It wasn't go out there and prove all the naysayers wrong and prove all the people that doubted me wrong. It was to go out there and prove all the people that believed in me right. And I think that clarity of mind and going out there, and just the people who text me after games we've lost, because a lot of people will text me after we win. It's a very select few that will text you after a loss. And those are the people that you realize that are riding with you through it all. And there's a lot of people that text me last year after losing 7 straight and obviously not being in Sask. And so those were the people you want to go out there and you want to play for, and you want to prove them right. So that's been my mentality this year, and that's why tomorrow I want to go out there with pride, and go out there for my family, for all the people that believed in me, and try to play my best game.
Cody, having been the 4 Grey Cups for the Bombers, comparing them to opponents, in Hamilton twice, the personalities of the 2 teams were very different. Last year, even more so, between Winnipeg and Toronto. But you come into this week, and it's, both teams are very, a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation, and it feels very genuine. And then there's 2 head coaches that pride themselves on being prepared in a lot of work. I know you're not in the interviews and seeing what Winnipeg is saying, but how similar do you think these teams are from a personality perspective?
I think very similar, but it starts with each leader, with Coach Maas and Coach O'Shea. Both of them are cut from the same cloth, I would say, and I've had my fair chances of talking with Coach, and just what he talks about and what he believes with Winnipeg, and you can see the same thing with what Coach Maas preaches here. And so I think just those 2 men leading their teams, you're going to have that. And all my interactions with Winnipeg and all their players over the course of the last however many years, playing against them, has always been great. It's really been the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans who have been the roughest on me for right reason, right? Being rivals in Sask. But I got nothing but respect for a lot of those guys on the roster. To do what they've done and go to 4 straight Grey Cups is legendary status, right? And so what we've done here is the true underdog story, and winning a Grey Cup tomorrow, that kind of completes that true underdog story, and that's our goal ahead of us. But it's nice to know, if you look around just the entire league, there's a lot of players in this league that are very grateful for the opportunity, myself included, because I remember coming out and getting cut after I was with the Oakland Raiders, and there wasn't multiple leagues to go to. It was the CFL or it was give up football. And so I'm extremely thankful for this league, and I'm extremely thankful for a guy like Jim Barker who brought me into this league, because without a guy like that and his scouting and trusting and believing in me, I wouldn't be sitting up here in front of you guys going to play my first Grey Cup as a starting quarterback. And so there is a lot of gratitude, and I think this league is a blue-collar league. It's guys who just want to play football. They don't want to give up the dream. It's not like we get paid millions of dollars. We go out there because we love football. We want to just do everything we can to hold on to that dream that you have when you're a kid. And so I think that's why you see guys who are very grateful in this league.